What a day of Test cricket, and who doesn't believe in Test cricket anymore? I'm not one of those people. A 5-day Test is what it's all about, and we have seen today one for the ages for the New Zealand side, but Pakistan, they showed a lot of fight, and that's what Test cricket is all about. They've been on the back foot, this Pakistan side, as soon as they stepped foot in New Zealand a number of weeks back, but they keep fighting, and they showed a lot of resilience today. New Zealand, well, they toughed it out also. Let's look back. If you go back into the feed and the summary and the report after day 2, that's where we talked about both teams need to have the philosophy of taking this game as deep as they possibly can into day 5. Go back, have a look. That's what was discussed. And we saw today that both teams at the start of that last session both had a chance and an opportunity to win this test. And New Zealand get the job done, and they win by 101 runs with a fine bowling performance by all the bowlers where the wickets were shared round, and they played their part, even Neil Wagner with a broken toe to boot. But there's a few people, before we get into the breakdown the game of the match, but New Zealand are now the #1 test team in the world. That's an amazing feat, and they are still alive with that chance and opportunity in the World Test Championship to make that final next year in 2021 at Lord's. So their dreams are still alive. There's 2 series going on at the moment over in Australia and the India series, which have big ramifications of who make that final. But Pakistan, let's look back at the start of the 4th innings. They lost 2 wickets within 3 overs. They fought back last night in the last session on day 4. First over of today, they lose another wicket, but they continue to keep fighting and fighting back. Rizwan, the skipper, we saw over in Melbourne at the MCG, Ajinkya Rahane leading the Indian side really well, and he led by example. Well, we've seen that here over in New Zealand by the Pakistan skipper, Mohammad Rizwan. What did he get? He ended up getting 60 runs off 191 deliveries, and that's backing up his 71 in the first innings. So every time he had an opportunity to perform for his team and his country, he took it by the scruff of the neck and led by example hugely. And what about that partnership with Fahad Alam? 165-run partnership. Second test century for Fahad Alam. Talk about courage and sticking in there. It's been 12 years since his first test century, and if you look at his first-class career, he's had an amazing first-class career over in Pakistan, and he's had his opportunity again in this Pakistan side with that tour of England. We got reintroduced to the test team, and down here in New Zealand, he has got his second test century. So that's a great sign for young cricketers that if you just stick at it and show a lot of toughness, you can go a long way, and he's achieved his second test century, and he went a long way in that partnership with Rizwan today. The man, Kyle Jamieson, geez, we like Kyle Jamieson. He is going to be a huge star for New Zealand cricket in the future. He broke that big partnership with the LBW of Rizwan. He's 6'8". He was still bowling with good pace in day 5 of the test. So that's fantastic. But he showed some toughness and tenacity, and both sides did. It just so happened that New Zealand came out on the right side of the ledger. So with this test match, this gives Pakistan a lot of hope, I feel, leading into this next test, which is going to start next week down in Christchurch at Hagley Park, which is going to be, it's another good batting surface wicket, actually. Days 2 and day 3 is where you get the most runs on that wicket. But I would think that Pakistan will take a lot of confidence from their performance today and how they showed a lot of tenacity and a lot of toughness. And New Zealand, they need to keep the roll going because they've picked up the win and they need another win to give them an opportunity of making the World Test Championship final. Don't you just love Test cricket?